So welcome to another episode of Real Time BI with Kevin and Stewart. I'm Stewart. That's Kevin. We have down below, we have representatives from two of the most prestigious OBI consulting companies in the UK. We have Mr. Mark Rittman right below me, also the author of the new, should be out very, very soon, OBI EE 11G Developers Handbook. Come on, Mark. You know you want to. There it is. Yay! We also have, so thanks for joining us, Mark. We appreciate it. Also, Mr. Anthony, or Tony to us, Helula, who is, the front man, I think it's fair to say, the technical director, so to speak, of Peak Indicators in the UK, who focuses on OBI expert services, consulting, and training. So we're well represented from the UK today. So we're excited for this international version of Real Time BI.
We're going to talk about soccer, right?
Yeah, yeah, soccer ball, right? Right, Mark?
Had to do it.
So we're excited. We're recording this just about a week from Open World. So obviously we're going to talk about that. So we're really interested to jump in, guys. We ready?
Yeah.
So let's first talk about Open World, and the way I want to frame it first is about the ODTUG Sunday Symposium. So this is something that's been going on for a few years now. Mark organized it this year, where we sort of kick off Open World with a technical, in-depth symposium. There's several of them running. The one we're going to talk about is focused on OBI EE. So, Mark, you want to talk a little bit about sort of what's on tap for that, and what's the inspiration, and what can people get from it if they attend?
Yeah, sure. So the idea with the OBI EE stream for that day is it's an afternoon of we try to get the kind of top speakers really from the kind of OBI world to speak. So we've got obviously Kevin. Tony's coming over as well, and it's really covering. We'd like to try and cover the kind of the kind of cutting edge stuff in terms of kind of what the product does, and it's quite a good opportunity to have lots of discussions with the audience as well, really. So Tony's doing a session on mapping. Is that correct, Tony?
That's right. Yeah.
Exactly. And so Kevin's doing a session on action framework. Is that correct? Or KPI scorecards?
KPI scorecards.
There we go. So it's a good session, really. The idea is to have some of the best speakers, some good technical content, really, and really kind of kick off the week in a good way. And there's also ODTUG are also doing other symposiums as well. So you've got one for Fusion Middleware, you've got one for database, and so on, really, as well. And in fact, there's BI across a lot of them. So I'm doing sessions in the Fusion Middleware one, in the S-Trace one as well. So the whole afternoon really is really technical and really focused on all these technologies we work with.
Okay, great. So Tony, you're speaking as well, and this is going to be your maiden voyage to Open World, correct?
That's right. For quite a few years now, I've been trying to find a reason to go, and we always agreed that if we could get a presentation spot, then we would go. I think I submitted 3 presentations for Open World. It seems to be very difficult to get in. I don't know what you have to do to get in, but thankfully Mark arranging the ODTUG on the Sunday, so we got a slot there and got my ticket. So that's good.
Great.
Yeah.
It helps not to have a last name like Helula. No, I'm just kidding. No. So what are you speaking on again? I think Mark mentioned it, but what are you speaking on again?
Yeah, it's on maps. So the title is "Are You Spatially Aware?"
Okay.
So we're going to go through, hopefully, dig deep into some of the questions about how you get into maps. What do you need to actually get maps in OBI? I think a lot of people have seen the demonstrations, so it's trying to just go one more step. How do you get your data rendered on a map, and the different map providers and the options that are there.
So let me drill into that for just a second before I go on to Kevin, Tony. So we've all seen map presentations of one, all kinds of different mapping presentations. Is it as easy as that, or what do you think? I mean, are people led astray when they think, oh, OBI 11G supports mapping, let's do some maps?
Well, I think from an end user perspective, you can do all the mapping capability without knowing any code, and that is a great benefit compared to 10G. I think the way it's implemented is extremely good. Obviously the obstacle is getting the mapping data to render. And that's really what I want to talk about in a bit more detail. Buying the base maps or obtaining the base maps is a challenge sometimes. So, but I think that the capability is very good. One of my frustrations is I don't think enough customers are using it.
Right.
It seems to be something you do once you get OBI in and you've had the product for a couple of years. And I want to see more customers using it straight away.
Right.
In phase one, because it really does impress the users, really increases usability, and gets more users using the product.
Right.
So,
it's a wow
really
factor, right? It's a wow factor. I mean, we all think visually, and that's the way we think spatially in terms of maps. So, Kevin, go ahead, Mark. What do you want to say?
I was going to say, with Tony's point there about customers not adopting it, I think the problem is it's just too hard at the start. I mean, the fact that someone like you has to stand up and talk for an hour about how to configure it, compared to, say, using Google Maps and stuff like that, it still is a bit hard to use. I think the concept of all the kind of the way that the Oracle Map Viewer works and so on, I mean, you can see why the action framework, you can see why it's not being used really. And I think there's a kind of an extra usability step I think needs there before it becomes kind of mass market really.
But Kevin, you want to jump in on that?
I would say that it's a little bit better than what it was in 10G, right? You could get Map Viewer working with 10G, but it was incredibly cumbersome. So while it's still a little bit harder to do, to your point, Mark, I think it's light years better than what it was in 10G, and I think it'll only improve from here.
So, Mark, as the Kevin, I wanted to take a minute to have you talk a little bit about your presentation, Kevin, and
sure,
what you can come to see.
Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about scorecard and strategy management, but from the perspective of if you're not doing specifically scorecards and the sort of traditional way of implementing. What if you bought the BI Foundation license? You don't really have any plans to do, very sort of structured, KPIs and scorecarding, balanced scorecarding methodology, et cetera, but you still want to leverage the module. Can you do it? How can you do it? So kind of along the same lines as Map Viewer of having that sort of wow factor, you can actually use OSSM for, sort of regular BI, and I'll kind of talk about some ways that you can do that.
Okay. Have I seen some of this content before? I think so. Sounds familiar.
It is. It's a little bit, somewhat of a repeat of what I presented at the BI forum during the masterclass. So some repeat there, but still pretty pertinent content.
Okay. So Mark, how many years now? Have we lost Mark?
Well, I can hear you, but I can't see. Your videos aren't moving.
Okay. Well, you look like you're deep in thought. So I'm going to ask you some really interesting questions and just kind of wait for your non-response here. Mark, how many years now for you at Open World in a row?
See if I can come back here. Hang on a second.
All right. Well, I'll move over to Tony. We'll give you a second. Okay.
Hang on. Okay. Yeah. Do Tony first. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tony, has anybody sort of prepped you on Open World? Are there things you're looking forward to?
No.
Are there things that you know about or don't know about?
I'm definitely looking forward to having a drink with you, Stewart. It's always good. Yeah, it's odd, really. I mean, a customer asked me last week, and he's going, and he said, "What's the dress code?" And I don't even know what the dress code is. So I assume I don't know. Not casual or something.
I tend to wear jeans a lot, but I'll put on a suit when I'm speaking. I tend to wear jeans, maybe some dress pants, nice shirt, one that says Rittman Mead, maybe.
Dress pants, nice shirt. You don't need a suit.
Yeah, that's true. It's overboard. Don't wear a suit.
Okay.
So Mark, how many years now in a row, Mark?
I think it must be about 5 or 6 years now, actually. Okay. First one I went to was OTN had a thing called the Community Awards, and they gave us obviously a free pass for the event. we're going since then. So when I was there, first of all, it's Discoverer. I remember seeing the demo of a new version of Discoverer they were going to bring out that was going to have a component set where you could actually build applications. And I remember being the world's least successful demo. It failed all the way through and stuff. But yeah, so I was there for when it was hilarious. But yeah, it's been a few years now, really, and the first year, I mean, the first year there, you kind of spend all your time going to sessions and so on. I think now it's actually almost the stuff that goes on around the sessions that are useful, really. I think things like the keynotes are good, well, the BI keynotes are good, so the roadmap and strategy sessions, that's usually quite good. And there's stuff usually that's said in those that isn't then put on slides and so on, so the context is usually useful for that as well. So yeah, it's worthwhile, really. I think if you want to go and find out what Oracle are doing, as opposed to what users are doing and so on, it's the event to go to, really. Yeah.
So Kevin, what about you? How many has it been for you?
Let's see. I think my first one was 2006. So it's been quite a number. I did skip 1 year for the birth of my daughter. Yeah, I know. Go figure.
No commitment.
I still had BICG people calling me while I was in the hospital room, believe it or not, complaining that something wasn't working in the booth and could I help fix it. I'm like, now's not.
Why did you pick up the phone?
Because we were in waiting mode. The actual, we were just kind of laying there and not doing much. Good point though. I probably shouldn't have been picked up the phone, but yeah, needless to say. So no, I mean it is. It's a chaotic mess. I mean, there's just so many people, and all the buildings and the rooms and the streets are crowded, and there's just so much going on that you feel like you are attending about 4 or 5 weddings. It's like just over before you know it.
Right.
But to Mark's point, it is a really good way to get a fair amount of content of what's going on in the world, and
Yeah, it's true. I think it's Go ahead, Mark.
So Tony, you used to work for Oracle, didn't you, for a while? And the thing that always strikes me as ironic is the hardest people to get to open world are Oracle employees.
Oracle people.
I mean, from the BI side, there's very few going. And when you do go, you end up being out by the airport and so on. So it's much better being a partner and independent, really, to get to these sort of things. Case, Tony?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, and I'll go around the horn. And obviously, we probably need to be somewhat careful on this. But any guesses about what we might hear, or anything we're looking forward to maybe finding out more about? Tony, you want to kick that off? I mean, what are you expecting that you might hear, and what are you hoping you might hear, and what would interest you?
Well, I think With BI now, the big things are the presentation features, what's coming there. Obviously, we could talk for 2 hours on Exalytics on this, and certainly like what improvements there are to the aggregate persistence, or areas around that, or times 10. I think one thing which would be key is the multi-user capability, development capabilities with the admin tool. It seems that every project we go on, customers are wanting more and more developers on the tool, and so I think we really need to crack that nut sometime soon. So yeah, I think those are areas for me, really.
Okay, Mark.
I think maybe it's just myself and the people I've got, but there aren't really many surprises that come along. I used to go to Open World, back in 3, 4, 5 years ago, and there genuinely would be stuff that I hadn't heard before, on say new versions of API. But I think that Oracle are quite good now with the developer community to signpost some of these things. So there's not a huge amount that's going to be different. I think really I'm looking for what is the direction in a few areas. I think the BI apps is an interesting one. I ran a series of blog posts on our website earlier this year about the kind of roadmap, and it's still, I think there's a huge amount of interest and a huge vagueness from Oracle about how this transition is going to happen. Between Informatica, ODI, all this kind of stuff. What's the timeline for this as well? So I'll be looking for a bit more kind of direction on that, and really a bit more going beyond what they've got with the current 11G version of BI apps, which is really just a lift and shift really of the current one. Also, the X-Base ODI stuff. I mean, again, there's 11.162 BP1, as Tony knows, brought out some more integration there between the kind of aggregate persistence. But actually, what's been happening in terms of integrating in a single kind of WebLogic domain is interesting. So that as well, and I think also, I think a lot of the work that's gone in with 11G so far has been primarily to support the Fusion apps. You know, virtually every feature that we've been working with, you know, security integration, WebLogic, all that is, you know, it's because of the Fusion apps. And I think that in terms of pure BI innovation, OBI, let's face it, there's a few areas it's weak in really compared to, say, some of the products out there, you know, the Spotfires and all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking for some kind of roadmap and guidance on real BI innovation as opposed to integrating with the rest of the Fusion middleware stack. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, really.
Okay. Kevin, jump in there. What do you think?
Yeah, you know, one thing, and I'll get a little controversial here. One thing that I'm
finally
is hearing what kind of anti-HANA messaging comes out of Oracle. You know, because SAP is definitely making a lot of noise in the marketplace, in the industry with HANA, and Oracle's not making so much noise when it comes to Exalytics, and so it'll be interesting to see if there's, you know, any kind of beating of the drum or you know, sort of response type, you know, messaging that comes out of Oracle with regards to that, and how they address that. Because
we're not gonna hear Larry mention business intelligence this year. I would doubt, right?
I think it will. I think
really.
I think there'll be two sessions that will hit on this. So there'll obviously be Thomas Kurian's session because he's obviously in charge of middleware and so on, and he's very in the size of the planet. You know, his stuff will be very kind of you know, factual and so on, and there'll be this kind of stream of consciousness from Larry, you know, talking about HANA and all this kind of stuff. So I absolutely see this being talked about, really.
So,
what is that? Certainly, I think Base 12c will be the headline thing that will be
right.
But yeah, HANA will be certainly talked against. Yeah.
So what's interesting is that if that is the case, then that means Larry has mentioned business intelligence 2 years in a row now. Is that indicative of the focus of Oracle now? I mean, or is it more just that? And Tony, we'll start with you. Is it more just that it's not just that business intelligence is that important, but it's just so pervasive now that it's hard to talk about, you know, the applications proper without talking about business intelligence. It's hard to talk about, you know, Web Center without talking about business intelligence. Is it just more pervasive, or is the focus on real business intelligence?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about why Larry will be talking about it 2 years in a row, I think it's because it's got in-memory capability now, and that's grabbing headlines away from SAP. I think that's what it is. It's just one of those. It's got an engineered system behind it, and it's one way just to you know, try and grab headlines. So I think that's one reason. Cloud is obviously another way to grab headlines. So unfortunately, I think it's more a case of bashing SAP than you know, than other things. So, but I'm hoping with, you know, just what Kevin said, that it's not going to be about anti-SAP HANA all the way through. I'd much rather have positive marketing, hearing how good our products are. I don't care about SAP's products, and I think it puts customers off if you have someone just standing up there bashing another country the whole time. It's not an attractive way to market. So I'm hoping it's going to be positive. You know.
I see you trolling the SAP boards, and it seems to be you and I seem to be the chief apologists for Exalytics. So yeah, it'd be an interesting one. Interesting to see what comes up really in that open world.
Yeah, I mean, I know Oracle can be just as bad, but it's funny how many SAP articles are out there, you know, written by an independent blogger who's on the SAP payroll, you know, and they just don't have a clue about Exalytics, how it's supposed to work. But then, unfortunately, on the other side, you get marketing from Oracle as well, which I think is, you know, not great either. So I don't want to, you know, put myself in the wrong position here. But there are claims that you see about, you know, SAP HANA costing $123 million, you know, and stuff like that. It's just ridiculous, you know. So
Yeah,
but anyway,
I agree with
I'd rather
that.
just had a good message about how good the products were.
You still there, Tony?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, it's interesting that both sides tend to, and it's almost always the case with Oracle and whoever they're having a public conversation with, and it's always just straw men that are being paraded in front of it's difficult to really get to the bottom of where the products are positioned. And with that, Mark, I wanted to kind of talk to you about what do you think from an Exalytics perspective? Are we going to see both from open world and in sort of the future roadmap, pretty much is the product still sticking to the roots of its target or focus when it came out, or are we seeing a shift in one direction or another on what it tries to address?
It's hard to say. I mean, I'm not kind of I'm not aware of what's going on really beyond what's been said publicly. But I mean, it seems they're throwing everything in there at the moment. You've got Endeca, you've got R, you've got kind of anything is being certified for that moment. And in a way, that's good because we know that one tool doesn't always solve all the problems, and it makes sense to do that. I slightly think that Oracle themselves don't quite know where it's going to go. And I think that it will emerge a little bit over time, the kind of use cases for it and so on. And I think that there's a few things they've got to crack really. I think they've got to crack a much more kind of effective way of refreshing the aggregates. I think doing it with the summary advisor is kind of a bit awkward really. So we've been doing some stuff with Golden Gate, ODI, and all this kind of stuff. The real-time side as well. I would hope over time, if I was in charge of engineering for Oracle, I'd be looking to create a much more kind of embedded mid-tier caching sort of part of it really. I think at the moment kind of the way it works is kind of good, but I would expect there to be some kind of HANA type thing that would sit as part of the BI tier that would be your kind of multi-dimensional stroke kind of unstructured kind of MDEX type engine. So I think we're in stage one, and we always for ourselves in our company we always knew version 1 was going to be slightly kind of underwhelming, but it's come along, and the thing that's happened last week is the price cuts, which is very interesting. I mean, the way you can now license it with OVM, and even BI Foundation has gone down by a third now in cost. So the kind of entry cost now for Exalytics was, I don't know, $9 million or something. It's like 1.2 million now. So it's suddenly a lot more applicable to people really.
But Mark, do you think what part of me is a little dubious of whether or not Oracle would push it that far, because they'd be kind of cannibalizing themselves to a certain degree in terms of if you suddenly are trying to push so much in memory using Exalytics and times 10, are you getting away from the core database that makes Oracle Oracle? So there's a part of me that's skeptical how much they're gonna, yeah, it does feel like we are in sort of phase 1, version 1, but will they sort of, go the route of trying to push more and more in memory?
You've got to. I think if you can't not do something because it's going to cannibalize your business, I think you look at the innovation that's going on out there with in-memory column store databases and some of the stuff that's going on. I think there's a lot of, optimistically, there's a lot of things you could add into it really over time, and you've got some, the MDEX engine. There's a lot of stuff in there that you could imagine. The only problem is, of course, that if you're a pure BI company, then you really can focus on that. Whereas BI innovation is a much smaller part of the whole of Fusion middleware, and there's probably kind of things going on where saying that if you rather than develop a new engine, let's try and make the engine part of the database or make it part of coherence or whatever. So I think that there'll be some. I think what Exalytics will be in a few years' time is hopefully not what it is now. There'll be much more in there, and I think also it's just going to be the primary platform you deploy this stuff on. What I say to customers is, if you're going to spend this money on OBI, you might as well buy the hardware that goes with it.
Right.
To be honest, and that's typically the kind of argument I'd make really.
Right. Yeah, repeatable. I mean, you might as well be working on the platform that Oracle Product Management's working on. Their primary focus, their primary deployment platform. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Well, guys, time flies. We're going to be moving into a segment called Buy Sell. Kevin's gonna take over. So, Kevin, you want to give a kind of a brief overview of what goes on here?
Sure. So, just to kind of recap, I'm going to read off some statements. If you agree with them, you're buying. If you disagree with them, you're selling. And then just give a short explanation as to why you answered the way that you did.
Yeah, and so Mark is switched. Go ahead.
We say I'll buy it for $1.
You can.
If you want to put a price on it, you can. That
So
makes
Mark
your
is
answer a little harder.
Mark is switched positions since we began. So just so we're sure, it's going to go Mark, Tony, and myself, right?
Yeah, I'll kind of go counterclockwise there. So
there we go. Let's hit it.
So we kind of alluded to this, and I think I know where Mark's answer is going to be here, but I'll start with this one anyway. So given that we do think there might be some content that Larry talks about at Open World, do you think there's room for a surprise, or else I'll just say it this way, there's going to be a surprise announcement around analytics at Open World, buying or selling?
Mark?
No, I think we know by now, really, to be honest.
Is that a sell?
I'd say sell. The only thing I would say is maybe something in the database. Maybe something to do with the OLAP option or something, or R or whatever in the database. But for BI, I'd be surprised.
Okay. So he's selling. Tony?
Sell, I think. I think it'll be good. There'll be some new enhancements, new features, but in terms of strategy, direction, product line, I think it'll be much of the same. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think the big surprises were last year. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm selling too for the reason Tony mentioned. It's just, there's not going to be two bombs in a row. There's not going to be they're not going to drop two bombs in a row. So I think we've seen the biggest surprise for a while.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so what's that?
Let's hope we're wrong, but you never know.
Yeah, exactly. Let's make it fun.
To be fair, I don't think that's a reflection on Oracle. I think it's more of a reflection on the fact that they actually communicate with customers and developers better now, really. I mean, there are some very interesting things coming along, but we kind of know about them, really, or certainly we've been made aware of them. So there will be, I think, if you were an average customer going along who doesn't spend their entire life thinking about Oracle BIE, as myself and Tony and everyone else does, then there probably will be some good stuff. I think especially if they start talking about the future direction of the development tools and metadata and so on.
Okay. All right, so then the next one, all of us have been working with Oracle BI since, back into the Siebel Analytics days. So we've all seen kind of the tool grow over time. So all this new integration, EPM, Endeca, BI Publisher, Fusion Middleware, times 10, all of that new stuff is necessary to compete in today's BI marketplace. Buying or selling that, Mark?
It's necessary for Oracle in what they're trying to do. Oracle's story is integration and so on. They're never going to out-innovate a pure BI vendor. Their story is around integration and enterprise and so on. So it's absolutely, totally Oracle. They may be kind of commercial, but they're certainly not stupid. So for them, it is. Yeah. So what was the question? Sorry.
So that's a buy. So you're saying it is necessary to compete in today's BI market.
I agree with it. Yeah.
Okay. Buy. All right. Tony?
For me, I think it's a definite buy as well. In terms of the Oracle message about the number of products, the integration, the enterprise capabilities, you can go to a customer and there's a story. They can put BI in, and they can see there's a number of different ways they can go once the product's in. And I think it's very important when you compare to just a departmental tool, you can really show how much extra value Oracle BI can add in the long term. Okay, departmental tools, you can get something up really quickly, it might look nice, but you've got no long-term story there. So I think all the capabilities, the stories around Fusion Middleware, etc., are really important. So we've got to keep it.
Stewart?
I'm going to sell this. The reason I'm selling is that we come across customers every day that are just having trouble doing basic reporting. So basic reporting slash getting started in analytics. I don't think it's necessary. I mean, it's nice to have. I mean, it's gravy, right? But a good reporting tool with nice dashboards for an up and coming customer, I think is enough.
Okay. All right. Next one, BI Publisher is underused in Oracle BI projects because we all have a natural bias to BIE. Buying or selling? Mark?
I think they've overcomplicated it, really. I think that the way it's been developed, a complete kind of parallel development team that's trying to replace or re-engineer or redo lots of things that are in BI already. I think it's overly complicated for something that's just reporting. The whole infrastructure it's got around the whole way it works, its own scheduler and so on. Again, I think it just it overcomplicates it. It's definitely good, but I do wonder sometimes whether people would just say, well, that's just too complicated, I use reporting services, I use whatever. So it should be used, but I wonder if they've kind of slightly made a bit of a meal of it, really.
Sounds like well, what was that, Mark?
Yeah, it sounds like a disagree.
I think he's selling. Hey, that's a sell.
Yeah. I like it. And the guys behind the team are really good, but I do wonder sometimes whether the message is confusing sometimes.
Okay. Tony?
I think I'm going to buy that. I think it is underused. And in some ways, it shows you how good a product the dashboards are if the iPublicFund is underused. But it does have some important capabilities. You can't migrate everything in Crystal reports over to dashboards, for example. It's the only part of the product that allows you to upload your own spreadsheets and incorporate that in your reports. And other things. It does have a lot of good uses. I think the problem is just lack of awareness. Lack of training or people thinking, okay, we'll do BI Publisher further down the line. And the natural focus is getting on the dashboards. But I think it's the same as a number of other areas in the product. And we've spoken about action framework, maps, scorecards. The product's very diverse. And BI Publisher can sometimes be one of those that's done further down the line or is left behind. So I'd buy it.
Okay, Stewart?
Yeah, I'm going to buy this. I think there's a lot of capabilities that it could introduce from a deployment or project management perspective. I think it would be a great way. For instance, I mean, I think everything belongs besides Pixel Perfect. I think everything belongs in OBI eventually. However, I think it's a great way for users to sort of build reports and pass requirements on to the folks that are doing RPD development. This is the way I'd like to see it. And so it's quick and dirty, a quick win sort of approach. It's got some nice visual capabilities as well. So I wouldn't say that it's just for that. And then of course the Pixel Perfect. I think it's underused. I'm buying.
Okay. All right. So then the last one, a little bit of a humorous one. So a couple years at Open World, Oracle with their big Iron Man promotion had a huge Iron Man display at Open World with all kinds of Iron Man suits lined up in Moscone South. So do you think there will be an Avengers themed display similar to that somewhere at Open World this year? Mark?
Inevitably, yes. I'd imagine, yeah. I'm sure Stewart will be trying to steal the display and take it back to the hotel afterwards as well. Actually, so
I've got my Ocean's 12 team on it right now.
Yes. Yes, I'm sure there will be something. Yeah.
Okay, Tony.
I think I'd buy that. I don't know if it'll be Avengers, but it'll be cheesy, whatever. Yeah. So something cheesy, I'd buy, definitely.
We've mentioned this before. I think one of the buy-sell questions I had once was, Oracle should continue with the superhero marketing, right? And
right.
Of course, I bought a load of that. So I'm able to talk to my kids about Oracle. They don't even know what it is. They just know that Oracle likes Marvel superheroes. So I'm buying this
as well.
I am buying this. I'm going to go to the Avengers Assemble area, wherever it is. You better believe it.
Excellent. All right, well, that's all I got. Thanks, guys.
Great. So I'd like to thank the gentleman from across the pond for spending a little time with us and giving some insight.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing all three of you next week. And for another episode of Real Time BI, I'm Stewart. That's Kevin. Thanks for watching. Again, YouTube, and of course, Tony, iTunes. So that's it. So for Real Time BI, Kevin, Stewart, thanks for watching.
Bye, everyone.